Aha, you there. I am Mrs. Bling-Parent, little Hugo's mummy. Are you the tournament organizer?
Yes, Mrs. Bling-Parent, I am Professor Parry Riposte. This is my tournament. How can I help you?
I wanted to talk to you about Hugo's progress in this tournament. He does not seem to have been treated as well as some of the other children. 4 of them even got medals. Clearly Hugo should have been one of those.
Ah, yes. Well,
he is obviously the best fencer here as he has the most expensive equipment, came in the biggest car. He actually goes to this school and we have hired all 3 of his coaches, personal, club and national, to come here to help him.
Yes, well, Mrs. Bling-Parent, he is certainly the biggest fencer in his year and he does commit all his weight when fighting. Fencing.
He was obviously meant to win and yet some other boys seem to have beaten him, presumably through trickery. Clearly you put him in a bad pool and started them before he was ready.
Well, actually, Mrs. Bling-Parent, he has been in 2 pools and all the boys beat him except for George with the broken wrist, whose mother, Mrs. Sport Pushy, you know, through the PTA. A very committed mother is Mrs. Sport Pushy.
Mr. Riposte, I simply cannot accept that. As a pupil and the best fencer at this school, it was clearly meant that Hugo should win, so it must be your fault and the fault of those stupid referees that he did not win.
Well, how far did he get, Mrs. Bling-Parent? I have been busy organizing the other 120 children in all 3 weapons for their rounds, so I am afraid that I did have to take my eyes off him for a few moments. Also, we have had the winner come into first aid because he was fighting through 3 rounds, having had his toe broken by being stamped on in an episode of bullying.
My darling Hugo only got to the first elimination round, Mr. Riposte. Then some awful child from a nasty little club, not even a fencing school, was very lucky and only just beat Hugo by 10 points to 2.
That does sound like a very close fight, Mrs. Bling-Parent. Obviously Hugo was really trying his best.
It was all very unfair, Mr. Riposte. The referee even stopped the fight for minutes to give the other silly boy a rest after Hugo, accidentally of course, stepped on his foot. It was all the other boy's fault. He should have been watching Hugo's feet, not trying to hit him with his sword. Anyone could see that little Hugo was meant to win and the other boy should have behaved accordingly.
Ah, so Hugo was the one who broke Charlie's toe. And wasn't there something about a mask being thrown and some violent words?
Mr. Riposte, Hugo's mask was not thrown, he simply dropped it at the end of the fight in such a way that it landed over the other side of the hole. And he wasn't actually aiming at that little girl who beat him in the pool.
So you would say that Hugo had a twitch that made it fly 20 feet then?
Cough. As to the words, they were not what people thought. Hugo's grandfather is an Afrikaner and has taught him some Boer language. Hugo was simply congratulating his opponent in a strange tongue. He would never use those words.
There were other children close by and their parents thought they heard. Oh, never mind, I am sure that Hugo has learned and will be less mistaken about dropping things and using foreign languages when we let him back in 2 years' time.
Oh, I didn't know your tournament was biannual. I thought it was annual. But Mr. Riposte, we first have to sort out today. Mr. Riposte, it is simply not right that, as the best fencer here, Hugo did not get a medal. All he got was that strange black card from the referee, which I suppose was some sort of sportsmanship award. We do give a lot of money and time to the school and the PTA. Don't you think that you could simply reset the semi-finals and final with Hugo rightfully included so that the headmaster can announce the proper result in assembly on Monday?